Hello, everyone, and happy Christmas. Today we're focusing on love, which is a great topic to focus on at any time of the year, but especially at Christmas time. The Christmas story is full of love. We're reminded in John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believe in him should not perish, but have eternal life. Now, although there's a lot to talk about in the Christmas story, in relation to love, I'm actually going to focus on us being loved and loving each other. So we're all children of God, and we are loved with a love which I think we can't really get our heads around. It's always and forever. It's unconditional. And we're told that nothing in all creation can separate us from God's love, which is just an amazing truth. And I think it's something that's worth reminding ourselves of. It's such a privilege to know that and to be loved in that way. Now, when it comes to loving others, Jesus said that the most important commandments are to love God and to love each other. So you're familiar with love your neighbour, and as we know, that doesn't mean the literal neighbours either side of us. It means everyone, which is quite challenging. And I just wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on love? What are your understandings? Do you feel like you have a choice when it comes to love or loving people, or is it a kind of most magical thing that happens? When you love someone, do you have to have the warm feelings and lovey-dovey feelings towards that person? If you don't have that, is it not love? I grew up in the Western world in the 80s and 90s, and I absorbed ideas of love, which meant that I didn't think I had much choice when it came to it. And I felt like it was almost like a magical sort of thing that happened. And I also felt that if I didn't have these lovey-dovey feelings, these warm feelings towards someone, then I didn't actually love them. Now, this became a problem for me years ago, in a situation I was having to deal with someone who'd caused harm to myself repeatedly and others. And I'd created boundaries for safety. But I really took this commandment to heart of loving everyone, because I realised it meant I had to love this person, which is going to be very difficult. Looking into things more, so aware of what Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5:43-44, which is, you've heard people say, love your neighbours and hate your enemies. But I tell you to love your enemies and pray for anyone who mistreats you. So I was really working on loving this person, and I was praying for them regularly. But I felt like I was failing in loving them because I didn't have these warm feelings. And whatever I tried, I couldn't muster them genuinely. And so I felt like I had failed on that front. But thankfully, I looked into this more and more, looked into other translations, spoke to people, read up on the subject, and realised, and this also came about from being also around other cultures and looking at these different ideas of love, that you can love someone without having those warm, lovey-dovey feelings. I'd put boundaries in place, and that was a really wise, healthy thing to do, which helped me to actually love them more effectively. Because some people can see boundaries as unloving, but often they're about health and relationships, and they can help us to love more effectively. I also realised that I had a choice when it came to love. I could choose to love somebody, and that was an idea that I hadn't really been aware of in my youth. And so I realised that I was making a choice to be loving towards this person, even though I have big boundaries in place. I'm aware for some people it's not appropriate to even be in contact with some people who you can still love them and be loving towards them. And that doesn't mean that you're not doing those things. It doesn't mean that you're not loving them. And I'm just sharing this with you now because some of you might be affected by these ideas or situations, or be around other people who are, and it's helpful to have that awareness, and being aware of the things you can actually do, or things you can do to change something possibly, but also for supporting other people and encouraging health in relationships as well. So there's a very famous set of verses on love, which are often read at weddings, and those are the ones in 1 Corinthians 13. I'm going to read verses 1 to 8 and then also verse 13. And this is a very detailed, I say description, but it's very helpful as it kind of goes through what love is and isn't. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I'm a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. Then verse 13. So now faith, hope, and love abide, these three. But the greatest of these is love. These are great verses in my opinion, and they're also pretty challenging. I often use the phrase authentic love. And this is describing authentic love. And the reason I'll use authentic in front of it is because I think we get so many different variations on love, or things that look like it but differ from this. And of course, I also just want this little caveat when I was talking about what love is. None of us are perfect. The sun doesn't always shine. We have various ups and downs. But you can have things that look like love, but when you look closely, they're not it. And I feel like these verses do quite a good job of opening our eyes to that. And the other thing is doing actions which appear loving, but they're not coming from a place of love. And I think this can be very challenging, especially in church circles where we can have so many different projects and activities going on which are loving things, which are good for other people and helping other people. And in almost any church, you can get involved with multiple activities to do with that. You could end up spending hours of every day doing these very charitable, helpful, kind, loving things. But if you're not coming from a place of love doing those things, this is a problem. As a faith community, we've had a focus, haven't we, on function and moving away from function to, I would say, going a lot deeper and really looking at our hearts, and then the activities that that come out of that. Because if we do focus a lot on the function or the things that we do, that isn't healthy really. And although we might be doing loving things, if that isn't in our hearts, if that's not the motivation for us doing those things, that's something we need to look at and reflect on. Ask God for help, ask others for help as well. So this Christmas time, please know that you are surrounded by a divine love. No matter what you do, you are surrounded and you are loved so much just as you are. I hope that you are surrounded by plenty of human love as well. I'm aware, as already mentioned, some loving relationships can be very complicated, and you might not be experiencing that authentic love all the time, but God loves us authentically in a never giving up, never ending love that we can never be separated from. And I just want to encourage you with that. And if you've been challenged by any of the stuff that's been talked about, I suggest that you focus on it and deal with it rather than push it away. It's such a natural thing to not to want to focus on things that make us feel uncomfortable. And us as a core team are here to help support you. It might be appropriate that you might speak to someone else close to you, and that support would help. But yeah, it's just encouraging us to really love God with all our hearts, our souls and minds, and to authentically love others as well. Happy Christmas, everyone.